Would you just introduce yourself, name, title, where you work?
Matt Swanson, Vice President of Operations at North Country. We're a point of sale reseller and software developer in the Midwest.
Fantastic. What was your first hourly job?
So my first hourly job was a sandwich maker at Cousin Subs. So we were about 15 at the time.
So what did you love about making sandwiches?
It wasn't so much just the making the sandwiches. It was that I got to feel good about what I was doing. I got to learn the menu and I was good at it. I got to outperform people that had been doing it longer, make sandwiches faster, which again, not a very exciting thing in and of itself. But just taking pride in what I was doing and still got to interact with a lot of people and put smiles on people's faces and do it well.
Yeah. Everyone I talk to who's in a leadership position, who's run teams, who's grown in this industry, everyone's why is always people, And I think it's interesting that for a lot of people that started with their first job, they learned how to live on people, right? And how to value that and be fulfilled from it. Tell me about your day-to-day these days. What are you doing in your normal life at work?
I do a lot of talking. I don't necessarily accomplish that much when you just look at what is my physical output. Like in earlier jobs, I'd install a system and I'd have a system to show at the end of the day, or I'd write a bunch of code and I'd have something that actually did something at the end of the day. Today I meet all day. That's basically what my start to finish is. I was going through my calendar 2 weeks ago and because just somebody had asked. And I had 48 meetings over the course of that week, which is a whole lot of meetings to fit into a 5-day period.
Yeah.
But through that, yes, you're dealing with some issues and business challenges and all of the stuff that isn't fun about the job. But I do a lot of coaching. And obviously there's some days I'm better at that, of keeping that coaching mindset, that growth mindset than others. But that's what I enjoy about my job, is helping other people be successful, helping them live up to their potential, helping challenge their boundaries of what they thought they could or should do, and supporting them in that process to where they could feel good about what they've accomplished at the end of the day. And hopefully they actually have some actual output that we can measure. But mine is more about that growth of people.
Hopefully they're not also stuck in 48 meetings.
Exactly. Right.
Would you tell me a little bit more about, the teams that you're coaching, the teams that you're leading, what their output is? Like, what are you delivering to the market?
So I oversee basically everything other than our sales function and our admin and finance functions. So basically the operations function, both from a software development reports up through me, our on-site support, our remote support team, as well as our implementation team. And each one of those has different outputs. But at the end of the day, all of them are kind of focused on that, trying to deliver a good solution for what our clients are. We talk about trying to deliver mutual success for our people and for our clients in the process. And it's something I really believe in. I think there is win-win is a overused statement. That's really what we are looking for, is that thing that helps us be successful. Obviously, we need to turn a profit as a company, and we're employee owned. So there's some extra incentive to try to build something that our associates can be proud of. But also we need our clients to be successful, so they keep coming back to us and that they refer us to other people. And that just doesn't happen if all we're interested in is just the dollar. So really that output does vary from team to team. For a remote support team, you're measuring them on how many tickets do they close. For the service coordination team, how many tickets do they touch over the course of the day? Software development, do they meet what their sprints are of what they were supposed to deliver and provide the right deliverable at the end of that period?
Right.
So it's kind of varies from team to team, but they're all kind of in that idea of trying to deliver something that we can be proud of and that our clients need.
One of the most fulfilling parts of my job is when you get to the tail end of an implementation and you see the light bulb click about the implications that weren't in the pitch deck of how this transforms an organization.
Right.
Like that's the moment for me.
In one of my earlier jobs, I installed systems. So I was an implementation specialist, and this was dating myself. This was 20 years ago. That was the part that really excited me, was the struggles that they see from day to day, that their old system was not solving, or that they didn't even have a system in place. And you're helping coach them and mentor them through that. The smiles that you put on their face, or the excitement that they build with their team of this makes their lives easier. That's the rewarding piece of actually delivering the work. So now I just do that at a different scale, at a different level, but that's still what gets me going.
So at NGA every year, independent grocery for me is kind of its own special community. Where independent grocers and vendors, it's all one community. It's not like, oh, you're on the vendor side, we're not going to talk.
Right.
And it's really where independent grocers are leaning on partners like us to help show them ways to find the efficiency that they've already put on their annual planning. Right. And so at NGA every year that I come, I feel like there's a little bit of a different theme, if you will, to the show. And for me this year, one of my big takeaways is that the industry as a whole is ready. And I think I thought that last year. What I'm seeing this year is that I'm having to kind of be humbled and recognize that as a vendor, we have to stay on the bleeding edge of technology. We have no option. That is the only way we compete. And as a retailer, they lean on us for that, right?
Right.
And so I think last year at NGA, I was like, oh, everybody's going to buy it. And we did see that, right, among early adopters. But I think the industry now finally is going, okay, we have to get more efficient. Help us baby step there, right? And they're coming to us with not too much, right?
Right.
And so that's my big takeaway for this year. Like, what are you seeing, though? What's your takeaway?
I would also have a similar takeaway. I think the retailers are asking better technology questions, better educated technology questions. Not too long ago, especially in the grocery industry, it was point of sale. And that was, I need to be able to scan things. And as long as I can do that, you've met what my technology needs are. Things have changed. And maybe not 5 years, but definitely 10 years ago. And that's been a progression and a journey for a lot of these retailers of really understanding how can technology be used and then partnering with their resellers, their partners, trusted partners in the space to actually figure out how do we leverage that. Everybody looks at the Walmarts and the Krogers of the world, and they've got all this neat technology, but it doesn't necessarily scale very well to the independent. But at the same time, the independent needs those same benefits that they're seeing. So being able to see some of those technologies, and specifically for us, how do you tie those technologies together as you bring in these extra solutions into an environment? I think there is an environment where you can develop these data silos where things just don't communicate very well to each other. And that was okay for a long time. Operators didn't mind that, but they've also realized that that's not very efficient. And there's a lot of manual work and a lot of human error that gets introduced in that process. So trying to find how do you connect those systems and get them to work well together, I think is also one of the other themes that I've been fortunate to discuss with a lot of people this week.
What percentage do you think said PCI DSS compliance was their number one priority to 25?
I'm going to guess it's a pretty low percentage. I think obviously it's almost taken as a for granted thing with a lot of operators at this point. So honestly, I would guess that it's, low double digits, if not lower than that, as far as the top priority.
I see, I don't live in that world. So I was very surprised. It was 11%.
Okay.
11.
I should have just gone with the 10% that was in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, you knew it. But that's not right. I'm on the workforce side. I don't deal with PCI. I know what it is. I've dealt with it. Don't want to. So tell me a little bit about PCI DSS compliance, not necessarily being like at the top of the list, right? In the past, I don't think that I've ever seen as bottom of the list, right? But you were telling me that you think it's kind of something they have to have. It's kind of cost of doing business perspective.
I think so. I think there's a lot of assumption that it is just taken care of, kind of, that it's built into the products. And to be clear, there's a lot of technologies like point-to-point or P2PE encryption that solves a lot of these problems, that makes it much harder to be compromised. But I also wish that they had more recognition that they still have to take certain steps to protect that. You can't just say, well, I've got a point-to-point solution and therefore I'm completely compliant. You've got to really kind of look at how you handle the entire workflow of secure or sensitive information in order to actually accomplish all of those different things. There's kind of the assumption that that's just a given, that the vendor takes care of all of that for me. And unfortunately, some find out the hard way that that's not always true.
Yeah, I wonder if the horror stories have kind of accelerated the technology adoption.
Yeah,
it's so common.
Yeah, I think that's the pieces that I don't think they're as visible anymore either. It used to be constantly in the news. You were reading about who was the latest person that was compromised, and there's still a fair amount of that that's happening. I think some people have just become numb to it. And I think that some maybe have forgotten the costs, not just in terms of what you have to pay to your insurance companies and cyber liability and settlements and card brands and everything else. Everybody's got their hand out if you have a security issue or incident. But just in terms of brand reputation, if you don't do that right, it can cost you quite a bit in terms of the soft costs.
Tell me about cool stuff that you're doing. I know you have 48 meetings a week. So you don't get to do too much cool stuff. But like, what are some of the cool things that your teams are working on? Is there anything you're excited about coming in marketing?
So we've been investing pretty heavily in our Pyxis platform, which is kind of an integration hub, connecting different systems to point of sale at the end of the day. But we've done a lot of work with that. I have posted, billions of dollars of sales have flowed through our platform at this point. That's the pieces that I really get excited by. Yes, we're doing a lot of cool things from point of sale and from some of the other technology partners we work with like you, but that's the piece that I get really excited by because that's where there is so much manual labor that's involved. And if you do a good job of connecting your data and harnessing that data, you can make such better decisions to run your business. And we're trying to help our clients do that. It's also something we're doing internally is we've got some big initiatives to try to do a better job of pulling those different pieces together. We have 150 people spread out across the country, all using different systems and different processes and trying to connect that, try to make the better decisions that take care of our people as well as the clients in the process.
That's it's becoming more of a demand. And I don't think it's a requirement just yet because there's a lot of folks who haven't even started those initiatives. So I don't think that everyone necessarily expects it, but it's coming.
Yeah.
So kudos to you guys to get being in front of it.
Yeah. I don't think it's a demand yet, but by your more mature operators, I think that is true. And that's not necessarily tied to size of operator.
Yes.
Sometimes it's your more mature, smaller operator understands that this is a need. But I do think it's part of the conversation now that people are recognizing that they don't want their data in these silos and the different teams looking at different sets of books or information that they really want to pull those all together. I think that is more of the conversation now. And I think that'll just continue to accelerate.
I love that you said that because I don't think that's something that that folks talk about enough. I think regardless of vertical, among your independents, I hear those things all the time. That is, oh no, we just have 50 employees, or oh no, we just have one store, like implying like oh no technology, we don't need it. And I think it's so fascinating that there's this like baseline misunderstanding that in order to be sophisticated, you have to have 500 stores, right. And some of the most bleeding edge, even not even cutting edge, bleeding edge technology adopters that I work with are small independent operators who are butchering their competition because of the efficiencies that they get and the agility they get from being small, right? That they're outperforming the huge competitors by having better technology and being able to pivot faster. I don't know how we influence change so that independents understand that they don't have to just limp along. Like there are better, efficient options.
Yeah, I mean, we see that every day, that smaller operators that are just one store or that might be 5 or 10 stores, they are killing it in comparison to your behemoths in the industry. And some of it's just the culture that they've built internally. But some of it is that they're using technology and tools to do more with less. We all know that labor is a commodity today that's hard to come by. Finding the right labor is even harder. So if you can find a way to pair the culture of your people with technology to let them do better and to pivot faster, like you said, that's how you can have operators that are just killing it when it comes to their competition. That, by the narrative that said, they shouldn't be able to exist because the big blue store is going to come take over.
They keep on keeping on it.
They sure do.
Is there anything else that people should know about what you're bringing to market or what you're doing at NGA?
Point of sale is obviously going to continue to be a very important part of what we do. The relationships and the partnerships we have with there are really what have made us who we are in the market and the industry, and that will continue to be true. But this is the first year we haven't pushed the hardware and the software solutions. Yes, we've had lots of very good conversations with both current and prospective clients in that space, and I feel really optimistic about some of that. But this is the first year we really focused on that interconnection of data and information. This is the first year that our booth has really been all around our Pyxis solution and trying to eliminate some of those silos, connecting different pieces of information. And I think one of those examples was Think Creative has had a lot of buzz around here with the HPC and OTC connections. And we're lucky enough to be a central part of the connection there to different point of sale systems. It's just one of those things that's been real exciting this year at NGA is to be able to talk to people about the benefits of that and tying the different systems together.
Thank you so much for your time. Absolutely. If people wanted to learn more about new products, about what's coming to market, how should they reach out? Just follow you on LinkedIn?
Find us on LinkedIn, hit our website, ncbpinc.com, or just reach out to me, Matt Swanson on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure we make the connections.